How did we get here?
I had a good time.
Always practice safe hex.
Should I smell it? Should I not smell it?
This boy is down bad.
I will
Macro.
hobble home on my own. I will crawl home. Thank you. Goodbye.
At least you got your trafficking. So I bought sugar cubes because I needed an extra $4 to get overnight shipping. Because I have a new tea set. I don't know if I can
No.
Oh, I'll send you a picture of it. It's so fucking cute. But it's like this beautiful ceramic little tiny baby, like their little cups, and it is great. But I was like, oh, I like sugar in my tea, and I was like, oh my God, sugar cubes would be so dope. And then I had them on my list, and I was like, oh, I could add those and get overnight shipping, and it literally got delivered at like 7 something this morning.
That's
I
nice.
think I don't actually know what time
Man, I
because
miss being in civilization.
I know, right?
I
Yeah.
ordered something like the other day and it won't be here till next Tuesday on Amazon.
Yeah, I don't know what time it got delivered.
Oh, this month is flying by.
Right? Like
Like we're already halfway through
midway.
October
It's
books.
insane.
Like I
And this
I
is the
was
best month of the year.
I
What the
know, I feel
fuck?
like we're going through it so fast.
I know.
Can we like extend? You know what?
Pause.
Next year, maybe we should make fall, September, and October just for
Okay.
funsies. Because it's not enough.
It's not. This is my favorite time of year. And it sucks too
Yeah,
for me. It sucks for me because like my favorite time of the year always living in New Hampshire was fall because of the
right.
nice cool air. I don't get that down here. So I get that in December.
Oh, yeah. No, I love it when it starts to cool off and we just have that crisp
Yeah, it's one of
air.
my literal favorites.
So it's like
Ugh.
I love this. And some people are always like, well, it's the season of dying, but not really. It's where
Not
everything's just
really.
kind of getting ready
Yeah.
to rest and regrow and have a redo. I feel like it's a season for that it's okay for redo.
Yeah.
Fresh change. Like you go back to school most of the time during this. It's a fresh start. For me, I feel like it's always just like that fresh start
And then
time
of
of
course
year.
for other people it's the seasonal depression start, but it's still a start.
Yeah. But it's a start of something, and it's a fresh start for you to like once you get out of that, you have the ability to fresh start it. Maybe that's why I'm
And
so cranky lately.
and fall brings us time change where we fall back and get an extra hour of sleep. That's my
Yeah.
favorite one.
Dude,
That's
I
my
can't
favorite one.
wait.
I don't even know when it
I can't
happens.
wait. It's usually like around the first week of November. Like November 2nd
Mm,
usually, or like that first Sunday in November.
let's take a Google. Don't care about Sunday, March 10th. November 3rd.
Perfect. Yep. First Sunday in October. November. And
November.
yep. I'm like, I swear I
You
said
know
November, but
months.
yeah.
You know months.
Maybe. Maybe. No, maybe. Maybe.
But here we are.
It is October now, though.
It's not November yet.
Yeah.
November's gonna be also wild. Don't worry, I have a lot of wild picks.
And this week, though, for October, we brought you a fun, quirky witch meets vampire story for our fall Halloween vibes. This week we read Don't Hex and Drive by Juliette Cross.
Which you shouldn't hex and drive,
No,
because then you
no.
accidentally hit people.
That's not quite what happened,
I
but
know, but I'm just gonna say
I kept
it.
waiting for that to like come about because of the title and then
It's still funny.
yes. It's a fun. I think if I am understanding correctly from the context within the book, is this book 3 of the series?
I'm pretty sure when I had pulled it up, it even says it in the title.
I know they're all interconnected standalones, so
Hmm.
it's fine. But
It's
and
book two.
interesting
Book
because
two.
I thought her sister would have gone, the sister with the boyfriend, and I thought her best friend would have gone. But maybe it's only about her sisters and the best friend doesn't count.
There are 6 books in the series.
How many sisters? I keep meaning to write them all down.
I have
Um,
not
because
a
they're
clue.
so because they kept freaking popping up out of the woodwork. There were so
So
fucking many of them.
Lara, Jules, Livy,
Wait, no, Livy. It was Isadora, Livy, Jules, Violet, Clara,
Evie.
and oh, so six, yeah.
So who's did I say Clara? Okay, yeah.
So the best friend just must have happened on the side or in a different
Yeah.
series,
I have no idea. I didn't even look into it. The first one is Wolf Gone Wild. It's a slow burn wolf werewolf romance.
which makes sense with, yeah.
That's Evie.
Yeah. None of it was you had to know what was going on. I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything.
I just like the
Uh-oh.
name of the second book of the next book.
What is
Witches
it?
get stitches. Always practice safe hex.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Resting witch face. Grim and Barrett. Bear is spelled Bear. What's a grumpy sunshine?
These are cute. They're
These are
wild,
cute. I kind of just want to read them.
it
Like
was a
they're
good
so
time.
cute.
Yeah. But this particular book, Don't Hex and Drive, is about Isadora, and I was calling him DeVry.
Yes.
Okay. I did not Google. I usually Google if I'm pronouncing things right, but I just was kind of frazzled this week and I did not. But that's what I was calling him. So Isadora and DeVry. And Isadora, our FMC, is trying to get a precious new pot of pansies home on her bike when her bike is hit by a car. The car hitting her back tire, sending her flying through the air, landing with a twist to her ankle and a smash to the pot of pansies. Oh no, that's our start. The driver was instantly at her side, his speed indicating his non humanness just before his presence. He checks out her foot as she recognizes him as a vampire, an old one at that. She asks the man, aren't vampires supposed to have superhuman eyesight enough to avoid hitting an innocent traveler on the road?
She's got a point.
He asks, shouldn't, as a witch, she should have been able to avoid being hit?
Also a fair point.
In reality, he came up so fast she didn't even have time to react, and her powers in that sense are not very strong. She tries to stand up, but her leg crumples, putting weight on her foot. The stranger catches her, steadying her. Isadora finds her phone, screen smashed. The man apologizes and offers to bring her home and replace both the bike and the phone. She says there's no way she's getting in a car with him after that display of his driving skills. Plus, there have been a string of girls being reported missing lately, and this is a complete stranger. No, thank you.
I
I
mean,
mean,
Ariel just would have been fine with the complete stranger. Didn't even have to deal with girls being missing, just complete stranger. Nah,
I will
bro.
hobble home on my own. I will crawl home. Thank you. Goodbye.
Peace out.
She asks who he is. He introduces himself as Darai Kumar, that he just arrived in town and is a friend of Ruben's, who she must know if she's a witch. He pulls his phone out and calls Ruben so he can vouch for him. Hands the phone to her, and Ruben tells her he was glad that she was cautious, but she can trust DeVry to at least take her home. Isadora gives in. DeVry scoops her up and puts her in his car. She pulls out a reusable bag from her purse and tells him she isn't leaving without her pansies and instructs him to gently put them in the bag. He does, and then he gets in the car and she gives him directions. When they arrive at Isadora's house, he picks her back up and carries her to the door that is opened by her sister Violet. He brings her in and puts her on the couch. Her other sister, Livy, is also waiting inside, both jumping right in to give her crap for riding that bike around, especially at night, with all the girls going missing. Tisk,
They
tisk,
also
tisk.
just like really hate how much she rides this fucking bike too.
Yes. Yes. Livy sees her swollen ankle and says that Isadora can at least fix it quickly enough. DeVry asks, you're a conduit? Then why didn't you fix it on the street? Again, fair point. Clara, her youngest sister, walks in and saves her from having to explain that the vampire threw her off balance and made her feel too flustered to summon her magic. Livy tells DeVry that she feels like she knows him from somewhere. Claire is in awe of his aura. Apparently, it's like a rainbowy kaleidoscope. DeVry introduces himself. Livy gasps and tells Isadora she was hit by the famous Bollywood movie star. Famous actor ran you over, Isadora.
they're so fucking funny. And she's just like, great,
Yeah.
don't
He's
care.
he needs to get going and tells Isadora he will drop her bike and replace her phone ASAP. Claire goes out with him to get the pansies for Isadora, coming back gushing that he told her that he carried Isadora inside. They are all Team DeVry already. Isadora is just glad that he's gone so she can have peace on the couch and can focus on healing her ankle. 2 days later, and DeVry is going nutty with the scent of Isadora's blood droplets on the shirt he was wearing that night being in his laundry room. He doesn't usually have this problem. He has no idea why the witch is having this effect on him. He finally succumbs and runs in to the laundry room to smell the shirt and then quickly shoves it into the washing machine so he can't be tempted anymore. He's just closing the lid when the doorbell rings, making him feel like he was caught red-handed.
This boy is down bad.
Like already.
And
I
not
just
down bad crying at the gym.
No, he's crying in his laundry room. And and he spent 2 days pacing back and forth from his laundry room all around his house trying to should I smell it? Should I not smell it? Like all about sniffing his shirt. Like what a picture. He hears the door open and close, and then his friend Ruben's voice call for him. DeVry is in town to help Ruben with a case of his. They sit down for a drink, and Ruben tells DeVry all about the missing girls and how there have been 4 in the last 4 weeks, all of them pretty young. Ruben says he has a source who claims the perp is a vampire, but has yet to show Ruben his supposed proof. He asks DeVry to be there with him when he meets up with the guy. DeVry agrees and tells Ruben of his plans to take over a sugary treat he made to his new neighbors as a peace offering. Just so happens he now lives next door to Isadora and her sisters. Well, well, well.
What a coinky dink.
Ruben teases him about it and reminds him to meet him later for dinner before he leaves. DeVry goes to Isadora's to deliver the treats. Her sisters, Livy and Evie, fawn over him and the treats and explain to Isadora when she comes in that he is their new neighbor. She's like, what the actual fuck? She's offered a treat that the smell makes her mouth water, but she says she isn't hungry, that she has to get back to planting, and scrambles out. DeVry follows her and sees her tending to her replanted pansies and comments upon them surviving. Isadora asks if there's a reason he's in her garden. He says yes, actually. He's there to ask for her forgiveness, that he didn't fully apologize for the other night, and then he does so. She accepts and says their business is now at an end. No other reason to see each other. She wishes him well. He says, but he has to drop her bike off. She says, drop it at the garage. He says they might see each other around town. She says, not likely. He says, we'll see. And he leaves. For the next week, Isadora finds things to gripe about regarding her new neighbor. He plays his music too loud, even though she might enjoy it while she's gardening. He does shirtless yoga every day, well, except for Fridays when he washes his car in his own driveway and he has the audacity to get his t-shirt wet.
The audacity.
And it's not her fault that there's only some shrubbery and a whole fence to block her view. That's not very much. How can she help herself but to see it? He is
Yeah. Yes,
he is
Dora. Yeah. That sounds like me trying to justify. And you too. It sounds like us trying to justify any of this. Look, I couldn't help it. That's fine. That was like me yesterday. There was something online that I was looking at buying, and then it randomly, because it went to like, it's normally like $40, and then with credits that I had, it would have been $12. And I was like, I mean, it would be stupid not to do that. And then I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't. And then oops, I hit buy.
Oops. I mean, it was totally an accident. It was not your fault.
Not at all. Like, I only order some stuff sometimes because I get free, overnight shipping. I can't help it that my finger accidentally clicks the button.
And
It
why
shouldn't
wouldn't
be
you
that
rather
cheap.
spend your money on items that you want instead of shipping?
I know, right? I mean, come on, overnight for
Especially
Ariel.
when I order from, I don't remember what it's called, but that fun little clothes website where you get cheap clothes. And it's way easier for me to just double my order to get shipping because hello, more clothes and I don't have to pay the $5. Instead, I just pay $25 extra on clothes.
That's okay. I was talking, side note, I was talking to my friend because we've been collecting the K-pop albums, right? And there's one card she's looking for, but it's $55 online for just the card. And she goes, "So I'm just gonna buy a ton of albums and hope I get She's like, "Am I gonna spend $70 on albums just for a $55 card?" Absolutely. But I told her, I
But
was
you
like, "But I
also
mean,
get the albums.
you get the album and you get other cards too, and then you can sell those cards for
See,
money."
I mean, you gotta look at it that way.
God, girl math is so hard.
And
Sweet
then
girl
some
math.
and then other times I'm so like frugal thinking that it's
Dude,
like
same. I'd be like, "Oh, do I really need to pay this like right now? Like, can it wait?" Or,
oh no,
"Oh,
I'm not like that. I'm like about buying anything. Like, no, we don't
well,
need that. No,
well,
we don't need
that."
that. No, we don't
I
need that.
went back and forth about whether I was going to buy the $25 ticket for Grace to get in early. And then I said, I don't want to sit around for an hour and I don't want to people. So I guess, but I went back and forth with that fucking thing like a lot.
I'm stuck making an entire staff for my kid for Halloween because I did not want to spend $50 buying one, but I don't know how much
Would
it's going
you
to cost
spend
me.
$100 buying the stuff
I was going to say, I
material?
really don't know how much it's going to cost me when I go to the store today to buy the materials for me to buy all the ingredients and the paint to make it and the little pieces. And so,
This is what you call being
who
stubborn as shit and not
knows?
wanting to. Here's the thing, you're spreading that money out over time instead of spending it all at once.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah. Yep.
Good Lord.
And
Sorry,
in
we went off on a
reality, the
tangent.
costume itself would have only cost me $100, but so far I've probably paid that in all the little pieces I bought because I'm like, oh,
Yes, but
I'm
now
gonna
it's
piece
made
it
with your blood.
together.
Listen, it's now made with your blood, sweat, and tears, and it's now, what is the word I'm looking for? Invaluable? No,
It's
I don't know.
homemade. I don't know. It's
Yeah. It's priceless.
yes.
There's the word
He-
that I was actually looking for. How did we get here?
See, we know how to justify anything and make anything
Okay,
into anything.
how did we get here?
We know how to get anywhere. But as for DeVry, he even has attracted a horde of admirers from the neighborhood to watch him from across the street.
But you know who he can't get there?
Isadora.
Isadora.
Yeah. She just watches him
Full circle, baby.
through the
Just
shrubs, through the fence,
that was
through the
legitimately,
her
yeah, that was the
greenhouse.
biggest stretch I've ever done.
Yeah, Isadora sits down to breakfast with Jules. Jules seeing the paper details about the latest disappearance. Isadora is surprised Jules isn't running the investigation since it is such a big deal. Jules assures her Reuben has it covered, as he has even brought in a Stygorn to help. Isadora is surprised and says she's never even met a Stygorn, which is a vampire born of one of the ancients before, the most powerful of vampires. Jules looks at her like she's an idiot and tells her it's DeVry. Isadora's surprised, but says she's sure Reuben has it handled and says her goodbyes. She heads to her family store, Mystic Maybell's. They also own the bar called the Cauldron that's next door. She asks her sister Clara, who is stocking shelves, if a package came for her since she didn't see it at the house either. Clara says no, so Isadora leaves, telling her she'll be back later to do the books. It's all coming back to you now, isn't it?
No, 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 no,
No.
no, because all I could think about is just finish and then I'll tell you.
Oh, okay. Pick in the box. Okay. I don't know why that popped in my head.
It's a great song. We're a mess. I don't know what to tell you.
As she's walking back, she runs into DeVry, who doesn't let her avoid him. He tells her her bike should be delivered that afternoon. He asks if he can take her to eat as an apology for the whole thing. She says she's busy. He tries to use glamour on her to convince her, but she explains, nice try, but it doesn't work on her. She says she's disappointed. Isn't that beneath him as an elite vampire? And bids him farewell. She rushes to the animal shelter and spends some time with the animals there. She flows a little magic through her touch to them, helping, even extending their lives a tad for the ones who need it. She's had plenty of practice with her sister's pets. She can't make them live forever, but she can help them or extend their life a little. She spends a little extra time with her favorite, Archie, and then heads off to try to find her package. DeVry meets up with Reuben and Reuben's source. Seems he has a software that uses heat signatures and the different temps give away the species. The problem is that the software is a demo, so it's only in so many places, and they can only see the kidnappers for so long, but they can identify them as vampires. When DeVry gets home, he finds a brown box at his door. He doesn't remember ordering anything, but Thinks maybe it was a straggler from the move. So he takes it inside and opens it and finds a fancy vibrator labeled Big John.
The part that makes me laugh is Amazon Vine.
Oh no.
I don't know if you knew this,
Oh no.
but if you click on the health and household tab, there is a sexual wellness tab. And do you want to know what's on that sexual wellness tab?
Is there a Big John? Oh, she's screen sharing. She's serious. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my. Well,
And just so you know, it took
interesting.
everything in me to not send one to your house.
Oh, we'd start a war, Missy. There would be war. It would be a dong war, okay?
So, just so you know, that exists.
Can you imagine if we started a dong war?
Oh my God. I would just send you like a bag of dicks. It's just candy in the shape of
I would send
penises.
you a dick in a box.
And then I'll send you a dick in a box again.
Yeah. We would just,
It's my dick in
and
a
then all of a sudden
box.
we'd send Angie some dick in the box. We would not tell her. She would have no
No,
idea.
she'd
She
be
would
like,
just
what
get
the
random
fuck?
shit. What? I don't know.
Sorry,
Searches
I just needed to share that with you. So sorry.
DeVry searches the box for a label and finds Isadora Savoy written. He seals it the best he can and makes his way to deliver it.
That is
Yeah,
really
I guess that's
bold.
right.
Really bold of him. But he's shooting a shot.
Yeah. Isadora, still not having luck finding her package, returns to do the store's books after she heads next door to grab lunch. DeVry is there chatting with Evie and Violet, and he name drops the name of the vibrator, Big John, in a story he's telling. So only Isadora knows he knows. She asks him to talk outside. He
Dude, it's
follows.
so fucking funny.
He follows, and she tells him he has something that belongs to her. He says he's not sure. Perhaps she should describe it. She calls him a pervert. He tells her to have dinner with him. Yeah, because that's the next. She says, you can't keep it hostage. And he's all like, can't I? She tells him she doesn't want to eat with him. She doesn't even like him. He says, fine, come over and pick it up later. 4 o'clock, it's a date. She says, standing on his porch is not a date. He says he is looking forward to it and walks away. Just before 4, he shows up to the shop to walk her to his house. He offers her to go inside. She declines and stays on the porch. When he returns, it's with tea. Darn him, it had been a long day and tea would hit the spot for her. How dare he?
It's nice too, though, because she always makes tea for other people, so she doesn't really get to enjoy it that much. So having tea actually made for her is so sweet.
And her sisters don't really drink tea either, so it's not like she
No,
has it at home, just a pot of it.
damn man.
Yeah, how dare he? She accepts the cup and he sits next to her on the bench where she had been waiting. DeVry asks how she became a hermit. She explains she's not a hermit, she's an introvert. People annoy her.
It's you. I am not a hermit. I just don't like
I
people.
just don't like people, okay? People annoy me. I love it. He says, like me. She says, exactly. I mean,
Okay.
She thanks him for the tea and asks for her package. He takes the cup and heads in, returning with the box. She thanks him and says goodbye and heads home. Up in her room, she opens the box, and inside is her new toy, but also a DVD of a sensual Bollywood movie starring DeVry. In case she needs help, says the note. She throws the DVD straight into the wastebasket of her bedroom. The next day, DeVry and Ruben visit Jules to ask if, as a siphon, she can numb his magic for 4 hours so he can pass as a human to stake out the bar they know at least two of the women were taken from. She agrees, and DeVry gets his way, but he hates how it feels. He sits in the bar for over 3 hours, a particular guy catching his attention, and then making it clear he might be exactly who they're looking for as he texts, eyes locked on a new group of girls that walk in. But then he makes DeVry and goes to book it out the back door, but is caught by one of Ruben's guys. DeVry grabs the necklace that is engraved with the name Emma that was around his neck, and then gets a psychic set of images to where Emma, the latest missing girl, might be. DeVry punches the dude out and tells Ruben where they have to look for the barely alive girl. DeVry guides Reuben and his men to the right alley, while the one who caught him brings the dude to holding. They find the girl. She's in bad shape. Reuben says they need to drop her at the hospital and find her a conduit. They drop her, and Reuben calls Jules, making plans to pick up both her and Isadora after visiting hours, and the hospital is less of a flurry. They have media, news, all that to contend with, doctors, family. Isadora, meanwhile, walks into her living room to find her sisters with bowls of popcorn helping themselves to the very movie she threw away in her trash. Seems one of her sisters has the chore of collecting trash throughout the house and decided that finders keepers, she tossed it. So they're all watching on the screen DeVry walking out of a pool of water, dripping, clothes tight, just looking like a hot god. And that's the scene that DeVry walks in on.
It's so fucking funny. And he doesn't even interrupt right
Nope.
away.
He lets it go for a minute and then he asks Isadora if she's enjoying the performance. Isadora can't even answer. She's too mortified by the entire situation. DeVry tells
Fair.
her, yeah, right? They need her to go with them. Jules helps usher her out the door. In the car, they explain the situation to her. She starts to prepare, pulling energy from the city as they drive. At the hospital, they find the right room. DeVry uses his glamour to calm Emma, and Isadora gets to work. Isadora helps to heal her, and then DeVry tries to sift through her memories of the last week, which are choppy and glamour covered, having been wiped multiple times. The only one standing out is the ringing of church bells. They help Emma sleep and then leave. DeVry tells the group he suspects the kidnappers were blood traffickers.
At least you got your trafficking.
When they get to the Savoy house to drop the sisters, Isadora asks DeVry if she can come with him to interrogate the kidnapper. That she sensed a lot healing Emma and feels the need to help. He agrees, feeling helpless to say no to her. They go to where the man is being held, and it takes no time at all for DeVry to be able to compel the man named Darren to tell him about the blood trafficking and his percentages he receives and how a guy named Blake Bellingrath is in charge. He finds the girls.
Ugh, any dude named Blake, absolutely done.
I know. Darren is the one who finds the girls, and then two other guys, Brandon and Patrick, get them, and then Bellingrath meets them and picks them up. The girls are stored somewhere, but Darren isn't privy to that. They get cycled through and brought out as party favors. They had to ditch Emma, though, because she was getting sick too fast because she was too weak to handle it. DeVry does a sweep through Darren's head to confirm and then wipes their conversation and compels him to contact them the next time they're going to go hunting. And he leaves the room.
Man, he's
Reuben's,
got some strong ass motherfucking powers.
yeah, well, he's
I know,
top,
he's old as fuck.
yeah. Stygorn vampires are the strongest alive, yeah. Reuben says they need to be careful going after Bellingrath. He is old family, and his sister is head of the Witches Guild. DeVry walks Isadora back as her heart races and her head swims with her realizing she's actually very attracted to this man. Oy vey. No,
No.
no
Well,
way.
she's been in denial.
I
And
know.
honestly, I get it. I get wanting to be in denial, but the lady parts can only deny it for so long.
The next morning, she heads to the fruit market, and surprise, surprise, DeVry is there too. He asks her to go to lunch with him. She agrees this time, and they check out and walk to the restaurant. DeVry explains that he eats mostly vegetarian except for seafood occasionally. Isadora says she doesn't eat that much meat either for herself, but she couldn't give up seafood. He asks if she got her bike back okay. She admits she did and thanks him. Isadora tells him about her dislike for vehicles and how dangerous they are. Their food arrives, and they continue to chat and even share their dishes. Isadora admires DeVry's bracelet that he's wearing. He explains it's made from his mother's wedding necklace, that it is tradition for a wife to wear it until her husband's death. DeVry's mother wore hers until he was 13, which is the same year he was turned into a vampire.
Oh, so sad.
He he moves the conversation to Isadora and her work and love of being in her greenhouse working. They finish their meal and say their goodbyes, DeVry making sure Isadora knows to call him anytime she needs. A ride to the hospital for the next treatment, a replacement for Big John, anything really. Isadora
Mostly
go
that last one, though.
Yeah. Isadora goes home, her head swimming. That's all she can think about.
I mean, wouldn't you, though?
Yeah. She's not home long before she's scrambling out the door and knocking on DeVry's.
The
Ah,
funniest part, though, is that she was trying to sneak out. And then so she's telling her sisters, oh, yeah, I'm going to my friend's house. And then she goes, fuck, now I need to actually like, bring my bike to like, this is turning into such a, like, an effort to just go get some dick. Because God forbid her sisters know she's gonna go get like laid.
he answers the door and she asks to take him up on his offer. She wants like a one night stand. Well, no, an evening stand because she only has until 10 o'clock.
Honestly, that sounds like a you statement.
I felt this in my soul.
Uh,
No, I need to be home.
I need to be home by 10 p.m.,
Yeah.
so make it quick.
Yeah.
Before I also change my mind.
He takes her into the kitchen where he was preparing food and asks if she's hungry as he gives her a taste. He sees her eyes and reaction and says, "Oh, no, you're hungry."
You're hungry, hungry, huh?
She says, "I told you already."
Again, you.
What? He's like, "One night?" She says, "Well, I have to be home by 10." He says, "Then we better get started." And he kisses her. She asks if he's going to bite her. He asks if she wants that. She says no. So he goes back to kissing her, unbuttoning her dress as he goes. He
So
hoist
slowly. He is taking his sweet
Oh
ass
yeah.
time.
He hoists her up onto the island and rids her of her bra and underwear and goes down on her, adding his fingers too. After she comes, she tells him to check her bag. The condom he finds is too small for him. He tells her so and picks her up and brings her to the living room, laying her on the rug in front of the fireplace. Then he sheds his own clothes, saying, "Be right back," and goes down the hall, returning with condoms and massage oil.
I also love the fact that he's like staring at her and she goes, what? I just thought I knew you would look good naked on this rug.
Just want to look at you. He
Ugh.
turns her over and then gives her a sensual massage all over her body, and then dons the condom, rolls her back over, and then fucks her, his fangs coming out toward the end, which is not like him to lose control like that. He holds her for a bit and then gets up, telling her to stay, that he's going to feed her. Both of them needing space for a moment to process the intense emotions that they just had. He brings her food and they eat, and then he pulls her onto his lap on the sofa. She oils her hands and massages his chest and arms, grinding on him, kissing him. He grabs on a condom and then she fucks him, kissing him so deeply her lip accidentally catches one of his canines, causing her to pull back, little blood on her lip, and then instantly go wild with lust. He's amazed that just that drop was so effective for her, and they both go at it until they come together.
Yeah,
So,
because their fangs have the whatever drug in them.
yes. So, being bitten by a vampire, it gives like a euphoric, lustful experience for them both.
Yeah, it does.
But he didn't actually bite her, he just like nicked her a little.
No, but he drew some blood, and
Yeah.
that
And
was
then shoot,
enough.
that was enough.
The fact that that little tiny amount, though, girl,
Yeah.
you in trouble.
When they're done, she gets up, bringing her clothes to the bathroom, and comes out dressed again, awkwardly thanking him for the night. He says goodnight and she leaves. He watches her go, knowing no way this can be only one night.
Listen, because he hates to see her go, but loves to watch her leave. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Isadora tries to busy herself the next day to avoid thinking about Devry and how he is a constant traveler and it would never work anyways. The man himself appears outside her greenhouse, startling her. He tells her the kidnapper contacted and he's meeting him in an hour and thought she might like to go. She says, "Let me change," and he tells her he'll be back in a half hour. Isadora sprints into the house, hurrying to shower and change and add makeup too. Her sister teasing her about going on a hot date with him. No, no, no. It's for the kidnapping stuff.
Bitch, come on.
It's totally not for DeVry. Totally not. He picks her up and they walk over. On the walk, he frustratingly tells her Reuben thinks it's best if Isadora acts as bait to catch Bellingwrath in the act. She says someone has to. She suggests having Livy there because Livy is the only other sister who Bellingwrath hasn't met yet. They get to the vampire den. Darren shows up to meet them. DeVry doesn't waste time hitting him with persuasion, asking him about the plan. Darren explains that Bellingwrath wants to wait a couple weeks before taking another, so it's not so close to releasing the last one. That the new hunt will take place in 2 Saturdays. DeVry gestures to Isadora, saying she will be Darren's target. Her powers will be nulled, and he pushes extra persuasion, telling him it will go quickly as possible, and Isadora being unharmed is top priority, and then sends Darren on his way. Not so unthreateningly.
Yeah, no threatening here at all.
No, no, no. Isadora gets up to leave, but DeVry asks her to dance with him. He asks if the night before was satisfactory. She says it was amazing, that she's lucky he was able to fit her in before his business in town concluded. He says, amazing, huh? I wouldn't be averse to a repeat performance. She says that's not a good idea. As the song ends and she goes to pull away, he tells her Emma needs another treatment and he can take her. Isadora says she'll have Jules take her. He thanks her for her help with the case and she leaves. The next day is Sunday and family dinner. And guess who Violet invited? Isadora hides in the kitchen with the cover of Helping Violet. She tells Violet she wants to date again. Violet asks, what about DeVry? She tells Violet she doesn't want short term. Violet starts talking up a supernatural dating app. DeVry comes in to ask to help bring out food just in time to hear the whole dating app thing. And Jules talks the whole way to the table about the app and setting up a profile. Isadora says they can set this up later. DeVry is quiet and doesn't try to talk to Isadora for the rest of the night. The next day, DeVry stares at Isadora's newly created profile, feeling defeated. So she wants to date, just not date him. He sees her
I mean,
profiles,
he's gonna leave. His whole job is going country to country, so like
and
she's
she
thinking
doesn't know that
realistically.
he is actually looking for somewhere to ground, and he's
Right.
having that itch to
Well, maybe
have a
they should
solid place to
communicate. I
stay.
don't
I just
know.
lost my headphone.
Maybe they should communicate.
Yeah, yeah, that wouldn't that be nice? He sees that her profile says that the person she's looking for must have New Orleans roots, and he realizes that's her problem. She knows that Steigorns are known to move around a lot. He heads to the hospital to meet with everyone to see Emma. Isadora finishes her healing session and he tries to sift through memories again, but it's still fuzzy. They leave and make a plan for Violet to do a reading with them to be sure that Isadora's bait plan is safe. Jules asks if 8 tomorrow works, but Isadora asks if they can do it a little later. She has a date. Jules says 10 it is. The next night is it?
Ruh-roh.
Yeah. The next night, Isadora goes on her date. She's honestly finding the guy sort of boring. But when he goes to the bathroom, DeVry hops in his seat, saying he was at the bar having a drink and just thought he would see how the date was going.
Uh-huh. Sure, sure,
Uh-huh.
sure,
Yeah.
okay.
She tells him to go. He does, and the date returns, and she's bored till the end, declining a repeat. DeVry is there to walk her home to make sure she's safe. He asks her why she doesn't have a dog, since her love for dogs was on her profile. She explains there are already too many animals at home and that it wouldn't be a good fit. They get to the house. Violet is all set up, so she asks if DeVry wants a reading while they wait for Reuben. His mind is on Isadora, and his cards reveal he will have success in what he wants, but only if he has genuine intentions. Reuben arrives, and Violet does his reading regarding the kidnapper, telling him she believes he will be successful, but it might not play out how he plans. Isadora's next date might have gone well if her mind and her eyes weren't on DeVry at the bar the whole time. Her date even notices.
This
Kisses
man.
He kisses her farewell and tells her if it doesn't work out with the bar guy to call him. DeVry appears at her side asking to talk. She takes him outside and tells him she was afraid before, but she doesn't want to waste more time that she could be spending with him. He kisses her and he tells her to tell him she wants him. She asks for how long. He says as long as we have. She says okay, and then he tosses her over his shoulder caveman style and zooms her straight to his door. brings her in, and kisses her against the wall. He pulls up her skirt, down her underwear, and gets to the floor and goes down on her, stopping when she's close, only to put on a condom and then fuck her against the wall. Later, they're lying together on the floor, and Isadora asks how he became a vampire. He tells her he was on a trip with his mom and was in the wrong place at the wrong time and crossed paths with a hungry ancient who had just woken. DeVry was drained almost to death, so the ancient pushed his Stygorn magic into him. She asks about all his tattoos, and they enjoy each other's company. DeVry is chatting with Ruben at Ruben's shop about how prepared they are for Saturday when he sees Isadora walk by. He catches up with her and asks where she's going and if he can come. She brings him to the animal shelter. She shows him the dogs, ending with her favorite, and he kisses her goodbye with a quick ask if she's on birth control, and then he's gone, just instantly. Later that night, she gets a letter from him, as well as medical tests, deeming him clean from that afternoon. She sits in her room the next night with her balcony doors open, writing a letter to her mother when he appears, asking if she got his note. She says yes. He realizes, with her writing, that she has the rare gift of being able to fuse her magic into paper. He asks her to write his name. She does, and hands it to him so he can feel her magic and feelings flow. He asks if she's okay with ditching the condoms. She says yes, then he pounces, fucking her against her bedroom wall. She asks him to bite her. He starts to say no, but she shows him she's serious and he can't hold back anymore and sinks his fangs into her neck. And she faints from coming so hard.
I want that. That sounds fantastic.
Right. She wakes up in her bed with DeVry laying next to her, asking if she's okay. He was afraid he hurt her. It had never felt like that for him before. She asks if he regrets it. He says no. She says same. He says maybe they're blood mates. She's not familiar with the term. He says vampire legend is that there are bloodmates, only one per vampire who sets his soul on fire when he drinks from her or comes inside her, that it chains her to him as well. She says, like soulmates, and he says, yes. She panics internally with the thought of him leaving and just tells him she's tired. He says goodnight and leaves.
I just like that it's drink blood or come inside of you.
Yeah, I mean, or both.
Those are two very funny, different things.
Yes,
Each are a bodily fluid, but still.
yes. The next day, he texts her to come over. He wants her to meet his new roommate, Archie, her favorite dog from the shelter. Isadora is excited to see him, but is confused and tells him moving around a lot can be stressful for animals. He says he'll just have to stay in New Orleans then. He has a lot to stay for. She says they won't fit long term. He'll get bored. He tells her he wants to take her somewhere. He convinces her to get into his car with safety statistics and takes her to a parking lot and tells her he's going to teach her how to drive, asks her to trust him with her fear. She agrees to try. They switch seats, and she does well with a bit of coaching, even managing to get to third gear. Soon she's doing laps around the block. She parks and they fuck in the car. They go to switch sides when he hears church bells, the same sound that was the only memory Emma could latch onto. DeVry calls Ruben and tells him to track his phone and bring backup and takes off looking for the church. He finds it and parks and explains to Isadora the girls must be being held within hearing distance. Roland and his men show up, and DeVry instructs one to stay with Isadora. DeVry focuses on the scents and follows the girls' trace to an abandoned dorm. They wrench open the locked door and split up to search the building. As they climb, DeVry can tell that they need to be on the fifth floor. They find the room empty of girls, but having beds, blankets, and cuffs reeking of their scents. They search the room, also finding the smell of rohypnol, which would explain how they get the girls from the bars. They head back out, explaining to Isadora that the girls have been moved. Saturday finally comes around, and Livy and Isadora are ready. Jules nulled them before they get to the bar. They find a table and order drinks. Darren walks in with Bellingrath with him and heads to the bar. That's not the norm. DeVry texts them to tell them to stay the course as long as she's comfortable. She says she's good. Isadora goes up to the bar right next to Bellingrath to order another drink. She flicks her hair, uncovering her bruise, healing from DeVry's bite. DeVry said showing it might show that she's a good candidate to take what they need from her. Bellingrath takes the bait and asks her if she likes to play. She says sometimes. Isadora goes to grab cash from her pocket for her drink, but Bellingrath tells her to let him get it. He asks her name. She gives him Isabel. He asks her to sit with them. She says sorry, she's with her friend, and heads back to Livy, his eyes on her the whole time. Livy and Isadora laugh and chat loudly for a few more minutes for Isadora to finish her drink, and then Livy yells goodbye to her as she leaves. Isadora waits for her to leave and then heads to the parking lot herself. When her arms are caught behind her, a voice saying, "Time to sleep," and a force of persuasion shot at her. She thought she would be susceptible with her magic nulled, but it doesn't work on her still, so she has to pretend falling limp in the man's arms. She hears all the boys argue over who gets her first as she's carried somewhere. Bellingrath's brother shows up and he tells the group to meet his silent partner. Adam, the brother, makes her as a witch and chokes her until she has to stop faking. He asks Isadora what she's up to. She doesn't answer, so he pulls a pill from his pocket and shoves it into her mouth, knocking her out. DeVry and Reuben find Bellingrath and Darren and the others, but no Adam or Isadora. DeVry is pissed and knocks out Bellingrath to sift through his brain. Adam moved the girls and didn't tell his brother where. Reuben's source calls. Adam took her out of range of the cameras. DeVry starts tracking Isadora's scent, ditching the group. He's not going to wait. He tracks the scent to a storage unit. He rips open the steel door, bending it back, and there's Adam, looking scared. DeVry pounces, pummeling him, stopping himself just enough to keep from doing serious damage so Adam can be tried for his crimes. Reuben finds him and pulls him off. DeVry goes to get Isadora, finding her on a mattress. He tells Reuben he's taking her home as Reuben and his men tend to the other girls. DeVry brings Isadora to the Savoy house, her sister's gathering. Livy accuses DeVry of caring an awful lot for Isadora. Violet says, of course he does. They belong together. And when they all look at her, she just shrugs and says, I'm a seer. Like, duh. DeVry, remembering the reading, gets up to leave and says, I need to take care of some things. So she knows I'm all in. They're like, about fucking time. Isadora wakes to find her friend Tia's conduit powers helping her. She asks what happened. Jules fills her in, and Tia tells her the girls have been helped, that Isadora has been out for 2 days. It took a while to purge such a heavy dose of Rohypnol. She realizes DeVry isn't there and wonders if he's already getting ready to move on. She heads to the bathroom so she can shower and cry in peace. Once she's out of the shower and dressed, she hears music. She looks outside to see DeVry holding Archie with a boombox playing a romantic serenade. He sees her and tells her to come down. She heads outside and asks what he's doing. He says he thought this was what American girls liked. She says she doesn't need that. He asks what does she need. She tells him, you. He kisses her. She says she was wrong about them not being a match. He says he knows. He was just waiting for her to realize it. She says she's sorry that it took so long, and he pulls off his bracelet and asks if she will accept that until he can get her a proper ring and her own traditional necklace. She says yes and kisses him. He tells her he tells her he's longed for a place to be, longed for a home. Now he has that and his bloodmate. He tells her she's moving in with him, that he loves her, and she tells him she loves him too. Then we have an epilogue. Violet announces that she's opening her tattoo shop, so I'm assuming this little segue was our pitch into the next book. I'm assuming that one's about Violet. And we learn that Isadora has contacted the animal shelter and they agreed to sell it to her. And she has plans to renovate it and even have a website to help the dogs find their forever homes. DeVry is in semi-retirement, but he will help Reuben and other contacts when needed. DeVry plans to bring Big John to their bedroom for the evening, and that's the book.
That's fantastic. Yes, the next book is Violet, by the way.
So who's your favorite?
I really liked DeVry, to be honest.
I did
I
too.
loved him so much.
I liked Isadora at times too, but sometimes she reminded me too much of myself.
Yeah, and
but
that
she was
tends to
amusing.
kill it for you. Yeah, no, she was great. I liked her a lot too. They were all really good.
Yeah, I know. I had a good time. Who's your least favorite?
I don't know. There really
It,
wasn't.
yeah, it's a hard one. I think if I had to choose other than the bad guys, I might pick Jules. She was just really standoffish, and I didn't know what her deal was. I probably will once,
Yeah,
like, I
we
read her
read.
book,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
good.
I'll probably go the same to be
Yeah.
honest. So Amazon gives us a 4.4 and Goodreads a 4.1. How about yourself?
I think I'm gonna go with a 4. I had a good time.
Samesies. I did too. I giggled. It was very
Yeah.
funny.
Sometimes the flow wasn't quite right for me to go higher than that, but I enjoyed it.
I also really liked when I first opened the book, it opened to a picture, like an in color picture, and it was so
Yeah.
pretty. It was so cute. I
Yeah,
liked
that's
it.
cool.
Yeah.
What about Cucumber?
Ooh, I don't know. I'd like him to do the things to me that he did in that book. That was great.
Um,
I don't know, like a 4 or 5. I liked it.
I said a 3 or 4. There wasn't a ton of variety, but I did like the massage scene, and I just wish she kind of brought some of her like conduit powers, or he brought his like power, some kind of something. I mean, they have magic. Come on,
But yeah,
survivability.
understandable. I'd be fucking fantastic.
Me too.
Be so great.
Awesome sauce.
So, for our next book, we are reading Haunted by the Devil by Kinsley
Oh.
Kincaid. And I will read you what it is. And this is how we are closing out October. Isn't that wild? Isn't that wild that
That
we
is
are
wild.
already there?
I know. It's so weird. This month has just flown.
I know. My life was normal, just my mom and I living in a small town on the East Coast. The eve of my 21st birthday, it all changed. A father I have never known returned and took me away from all I knew. Trapped and tortured, destined for something I knew nothing about. Little did I know, my entire life I'd been haunted by the devil himself. He was always watching and waiting. As leader of an infamous cult in our area, this is no longer a haunting. He is here, and I am terrified. This is a very dark horror forbidden romance. It does end with an HEA.
Solid. So horror to end out the month around Halloween.
So
Sounds
great.
grand.
Yes.
Sounds grand. Well, make sure to keep reading.
And keep it smutty.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, fuck.